Où à l'instant Christian Scott, le trompettiste, vient tout juste de monter sur scène. Il nous plonge ce soir dans l'univers de ses deux derniers projets, Rouleur Rebelle et Diaspora. C'est parti pour Jazz Live, on est ensemble et en direct jusqu'à 22h30.
TSF Jazz. We're going to start with our pianist, who hails from St. Louis, Missouri, or St. Louis, Missouri, depending on your preference, I suppose. Now, Laurence. So when I first met Laurence, I called him to do a gig. So we went to Berkeley together, but we never saw each other at Berkeley. So we were there for years, and we would never see each other. And so after college was over, I called him up maybe in 2010, 2011 to see whether or not he was free to make some tours. And Laurence showed up for these rehearsals, and I realized 20 minutes into the rehearsals that I was being shown my music. Laurence has a few things, a few abilities, a few things that he has developed and that he's put into his arsenal that make him an invaluable resource for this generation of musicians and practitioners of creative music. Laurence Fields is essentially this generation, he's the guy in this generation that has been able to figure out a way to decode all of the different languages of music into one sound to improvise to. So this is a guy that has acculturated all of these seemingly disparate cultures of music into one cohesive language. So in a sense, he is sort of like jazz music's Rosetta Stone, right? Now, mind you, that's not talent, right? This isn't talent, that's work, right? This is something that comes from tens of thousands of hours of hard work and diligence and careful attention to detail. So when you see someone put together something like that, obviously you know that he's a frighteningly intelligent person, but it also means that the respect that he holds for all of these different people and culture, it goes without words. So an incredible talent, a guy that is an even better friend, Mr. Laurence Fields on the piano. On the djembe, the congas, and also the dundun, is a gentleman that is widely regarded as the world's or one of the world's greatest djembe players. Now, Weedie is sort of an interesting character because he is Ghanaian, New Orleanian, St. Louis, all of these things. And he comes from the great drumming traditions of all of these places, right? So when you hear what it is that he has developed, eventually you're going to hear him improvise on this next song and you will hear what I'm talking about. But the command of the instrument that he has, his ability to communicate, no matter what culture of music that he is playing, is second to no one in the world. A phenomenal talent, a guy that this is his first gig with the band out here. He just joined us tonight. And so we love him to death. Weedie Braimah, y'all. Weedie Braimah. The Weedie Braimah. Yep, it's been that kind of night. We up next we have our bass player who hails from Laudis, Puerto Rico by way of Windsor, Connecticut. Now, Luques is a guy that I've been making music with for 20 years. We met each other in Havana, Cuba when we were about 13 or 14 years old. And that might not seem special to you, but it was illegal for Americans to go there, right? So I'm 13 years old, and I had to fly from New Orleans, Louisiana, or Nouvelle-Orléans, to New York, to Narita, Tokyo, all the way back to Havana, right? Now, the mistake that I made was I ate a Japanese hot dog before my flight, and I got fucking food poisoning. I thought I was gonna fucking die, right? And what was really weird about it was, obviously I'm the only black person on the flight, right? And what fucked me up was there were all of these adults that didn't give a shit that I was turning blue. It was just like, it was super weird. They were like, oh, fuck him, he's strong. They did the slavery thing and shit. He'll be all right. So which fucked me up. So eventually I got to Havana. And I was there, obviously, no one spoke any Spanish, and at the time I didn't have that as an acumen, and so I couldn't communicate with anyone. So I sat in the lobby of this hotel while all these people watched me fucking die, right? Eventually, about 3 hours later, Luques, he comes up to me and he says, hey, are you okay? You don't look so well. You know, what's going on? And I told him, I'm fucking dying, man. Help me. And so I go to my room. I'm thinking that I will never see him again. Ever, ever, ever. I will never see him again. And 10 minutes later, I get a knock on my door, and it's this guy with a chicken noodle soup and a bowl of tea, like a cup of tea, right? Right? Sweet, sexy motherfucker. Now, the reason that I tell you this story is because you motherfuckers are used to hearing stories about jazz musicians giving each other heroin. No one tells you about when we give each other soup, right? And so apparently black people don't like soup or some shit. I don't know what you motherfuckers believe. But so I make a lot of fun, but Luques has grown into the leading exponent on his instrument for this generation of practitioners. He leads the pack in the straight ahead vernacular. He leads the pack in the conceptual vernacular and also in the Latin vernacular. He has had tenure in the great Eddie Palmieri's band. He's played in this band for about 12 years. We started our first record labels together when we were 18 years old at Berkeley. The first record that we put out together put us on the cover of Billboard magazine twice in the same year as the first time jazz musicians had ever been on it, and we were children. This guy has grown into a label executive as well. He also owns and operates his own app company as we do, so all of these layers of growth have happened over 20 years. And I know that I wouldn't be the man I am, the person that I am today if it wasn't for his contribution in my life. We were roommates at Berkeley. I love this guy to death. He is really, really my blood. Y'all please give it up for Mr. Luques Curtis in the room. on the drums from Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas in the building. One more time, y'all. Dallas, Texas. Now, the first time I heard Mike play, we were in Rio das Ostras in Brazil. And he was playing with Stanley Clark's band. And my Uncle Donald and I were watching him, and our jaws were on the floor. My uncle says, man, that motherfucker has so many chops, man. And I said, don't call him a motherfucker. He's 18 years old. He said, man, listen, this kid is playing it all, man. You know, he's with Stanley already, so the guys are looking out for him. But when you hear what it is that he's already put together, he was explaining to me what I was hearing. Like, I couldn't hear the shit. He's like, when you hear everything that he's put together, he's taking the technique of the shit to another level, he feels. And so for a guy that is only 22 years old now, right? Yeah, that's right. 22 years old, and we all got room to grow. But that's a beautiful thing he's saying. You know what I'm saying? We all have room to grow. But for a 22-year-old to be able to develop in that way, to be able to communicate the way that he does, and to also have the love and the joy for it. When you see him playing, you can see he really feels it in his heart. It's not a surface thing. It's his core that feels it. So a phenomenal talent, a guy that I am falling in love with his playing. I look forward to working more together and building together. A phenomenal young talent, all of 22 from Dallas, Texas, the Mike Mitchell on the drums. Get down, Mike. That's his new nickname. Get down, Mike. Get down, Mike. Nah. Last but never least, we have the lady and the baby of the band. Now, I met Elena when she was about 17 years old. And now she is 22 years old. So she's getting old. The first time that I heard this young lady play, really, was a paradigm-shifting moment for me. As an artist, as a composer, I realized in that moment that my music may be better served as a conduit for someone else's voice, right? Now, when she played with us, she was about 18 years old. She came in, she sat in at the Blue Note, the world-renowned Blue Note. Before the concert, I sat with her brother, Samora, and her, and we talked for about 3 hours just about all types of stuff, about what schools they wanted to go to, what their career trajectories were, what they thought was funny, what they thought was stupid as shit, all this. We really wrapped it out. It was kind of a weird conversation for a first meeting, really. And after it was over, I decided that I wanted to play with them. I wanted to hear her play, so I asked her to play on a composition of mine that's called Danziger, which is a song that's written about a massacre that happened in New Orleans during the hurricane, right? Now, this particular composition, at the end of the song, there's a prayer there for all of the people that were slaughtered. So I never let anybody play in that space because it was a sacred space for me. I didn't want anyone to touch that. And that night, I asked her if she would be willing to play in that space, and when she did, I was completely fractured. Everyone in the audience was fractured. Once she started to communicate, I saw her leading my band into places that I knew they wouldn't go. This 17-year-old girl was so valiant and so courageous in terms of the way that she communicated that it made these adult men follow her into terrain that was very scary. I looked out into the audience and I saw I have an identical twin brother, Kyle. He was in the audience, he was crying. So I realized that whatever she was emitting was palpable and real to people. I say this from the bandstand every night. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I think that if Elena is allowed to say what it is that she came to say musically without having to deal with record label executives saying, do it this way or do it that way, I think it's going to be a very difficult time for anyone to remember what the flute sounded like before her. In 50 years, she is going to be a landmark for the instrument, right? Right now, of course, we have Dave Valentine and all these guys, right, that we think of that are incredible talents. But in 40, 50, 60, 70 years' time, they're going to be using this as a pillar for this century, your century's greatest flutist. So an incredible talent, all of 22 years old, Miss Elena Pinderhughes. So, like I said, we're releasing 3 records this year. The first 2 have come out. Both records, Ruler Rebel and also Diaspora, have been the #1 jazz record in the world, records in the world. And so we're going to close the set out with the song that closes out the first record, Ruler Rebel. This one is called The Reckoning, and we're going to take a break and we'll be back with y'all.
The Reckoning à l'instant sur TSF Jazz, interprété par le sextet du trompettiste Christian Scott au New Morning, avec à ses côtés Elena Pinderhughes à la flûte, Laurence Fields au piano et au Fender Rhodes, Weedie Braimah aux percussions, Luques Curtis à la basse et Mike Mitchell à la batterie. Ils nous ont présenté donc